Cindy, I am really excited about these new products we just partnered with.
You mean the Via hemp products?
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I'm excited because now our listeners can get these amazing gummies at a discounted rate.
That's right.
I mean, right now, my favorite is the Via Flow State CBG and CBD gummies because we know that you guys are busy like us. For me, it's really hard to stay on track and get everything done in one day. My to-do list is like 20 pages long.
20 pages long.
The Via Flow State gummies really help me focus and they help me concentrate, and I can get through my to-do list without freaking out.
Yeah, I was looking for something to help me unwind when I started taking the Zen gummies, and they totally made me zen.
So zen, I was like, who are you?
It turns off the stress, and I was able to sleep through the night for the first time in a very long time.
You know what I really love about them is that Via hemp products are organic. I'm all about organic.
Yes, you are.
And they're trusted by over 250,000 customers. And they have products for everyone. So if you don't want THC, they have THC free. It's up to you.
It all depends on the dosage.
Exactly. From 0 to 100 milligrams, you can choose on their website, and they have really great flavors. Strawberry, blueberry, grapefruit. I mean, there's a ton of flavors. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when it's time to chill, I love the Delta 9 CBN Dreams because it takes the edge off, and I love how relaxed I feel.
I really like the High Love gummies. It's an organic aphrodisiac. It just makes you feel really warm and relaxed, and I tell all my friends they need to try it.
And the best part is Via legally ships to all 50 states in discreet packaging to your door with a worry-free guarantee, no medical card required.
So for people 21 and over, you can get 15% off and a free pack of these award-winning gummies with our exclusive code PITC at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com.
That's VIIA hemp.com. Use PITC at checkout. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via Hemp.
A note to listeners. The following podcast contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences.
He was in the Navy, and I can't remember. I think he got a dishonorable discharge for something, but I don't know what he did to get it. And that was when he got into all the trouble after he got out of the Navy. He just was lost, and that's when he started getting in trouble. I just had a weird feeling about him when I was a child, you know?
You didn't want to go to any family gatherings because he creeped you out.
Yes, absolutely. And then this all happened, and I went, oh my God. Actually, my mother had told me about it many years ago, and they were writing to each other. Roy and my mom were writing to each other all the time, and he told her that he found God and he was a changed man.
Like, I'll see a lot of them do interviews and they're talking about, oh, I found God, you know, artwork with the birds. And then the second I walk onto death row and get in a cage with them, suddenly that it's like you said, it's the coin, the other side of them just switches. And suddenly the darkness comes out, that serial killer is still there, and it's just the other facade has, you know, went away.
You are listening to Partners in True Crime. We are your hosts, Rob and Cindy Dorfman. Hi, everyone. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, even if it's one word.
And please subscribe to our website, www.partnersintruecrime. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram to check out our weekly promos. We're also now on YouTube at Partners in True Crime. If you subscribe to our website, you'll be getting weekly emails from us and all kinds of promotions and things that we don't advertise on the podcast.
How would you react if you discovered that your family member that you have known all your life was a serial killer? Not just any serial killer, but one of the TOOLBOX killers, Roy Norris.
DANELLE Soderling was just 6 years old when she recognized that her older first cousin, Roy Norris, had a dark side to him. Call it raw intuition, call it instinct to alert you from danger, but young DANELLE knew there was something wrong with her cousin Roy, and she was right.
Today we have DANELLE on the podcast, along with Laura Brand, to hear her side of the story and what was it like for her family when they all discovered that they had a serial killer in their family. All right, so today on the podcast, we have a very special guest, a very unique guest. We have Roy Norris's cousin, DANELLE Soderling, and we're very happy to have her on here. And so, DANELLE, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Sacramento, California. And then my mother moved us to Redondo Beach, Torrance area. And as a child there, I was a surfer. I had the hippie van and rode the waves all the time.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
then you are Roy Norris's. How once removed are you cousin wise from Roy?
Are you first cousins?
Oh, my mother and his mother were sisters.
Oh, okay. So first cousins.
Yeah. And Norma was the youngest. That was his mother. Norma Jean was his mother. That was my mother was second oldest. She had a brother. So it was a brother and then the two girls. So there was three of them.
So did you grow up in the same area as Roy?
Yes. His mother lived in Carson, California. And Norma she was such a sweetheart. She worked for a stationery store. She ran a stationery store. That was where she worked forever and ever and retired from. Originally, she lived in, when she was married to Roy's dad, she lived in Greeley, Colorado. And so I used to go to her house when I was a little girl, and she had huckleberries on her property, and we would go pick huckleberries. I was really little, like 6, and make huckleberry jam in her kitchen. And she was quite a homemaker.
What was the age difference between you and Roy?
Oh my goodness. I'm 66 and he died at 73? I can't remember how old he was when he died. Does anybody know?
Laura, do you know?
I think he was like 72 or just around there.
I thought he was 75 when he died. I don't know, but I'm 66. I'm 66 and I believe Roy was 73 or 74.
Yeah, 72 when he died. That's what it says.
Okay, how many years is that?
That was in 2020.
2020.
So 4 years ago.
That's how much older he is than me.
Okay, so he would have been 76. So 10 years.
Yeah, 10-year difference, yeah.
We just confirmed that Norris would have been 70. He would have been 76 now. So there's a 10-year age difference between Danelle and Norris and Roy.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you remember about Roy growing up?
Okay. That's what I was going to say. When he was in the Navy, and I can't remember, I think he got a dishonorable discharge for something, but I don't know what he did to get it. And that was when he got into all the trouble after he got out of the Navy. He just was lost, and that's when he started getting in trouble. But when I was a kid, I just felt he just was creepy to me. And so I always told my mother I didn't want to go to any family gatherings. So I really, in all the family pictures, it's everybody but me. I just felt
because of him.
I just had a weird feeling about him when I was a child, you know?
You didn't want to go to any family gatherings because he creeped you out.
Yes, absolutely. And then this all happened and I went, oh my God. Actually, my mother had told me about it many years ago, and they were writing to each other. Roy and my mom were writing to each other all the time, and he told her that he found God and he was a changed man. She told me about his artwork, that he was a really good artist. She showed me some of his art, and he really was very artistic. It's too bad he didn't follow that direction.
Yeah, go back, because I'm just curious, because as a child, when you have those strong intuitive feelings, most people just ignore them. They tell you, oh, you're imagining things or whatever, especially in that generation. Nobody really cultivated instinct or intuition.
I never told my mother that. It was just like I would always say I was going to my girlfriends, or I don't know if he looked at me weird or because I was young, I don't know if he looked at me weird, like checked me out or something, and maybe I felt uncomfortable with that. I was pretty young, so something about his aura I didn't like, and so I never would go to any gatherings where he was there.
Yeah, well, obviously you were picking up bad vibrations from him.
Yeah, and he liked young girls, so. But anyways, to get back to way back before he was even born, my grandparents, Norma got pregnant by Glenn. And she was really young. She was only like 18, just out of high school when she got pregnant with Roy. And my grandfather found out, and he went over and talked to Glenn, Roy's dad, and said, but old school, basically, you're going to marry my daughter. So it was a forced marriage, so to speak.
Shotgun wedding.
Absolutely. That's exactly what my grandfather was. I think he probably did have a shotgun and told Glenn Norris that he had to marry my aunt, And so maybe Roy felt not loved. I don't know. Glenn was a weird dude. He didn't show love for my Aunt Norma. And, maybe it all started then. I'm thinking in his childhood somewhere.
Did he have brothers and sisters?
He has one sister, Sharon, and she lives in California in Long Beach.
Is she older or younger? Oh,
She's
older.
younger than Roy, but older than me. I am totally the baby of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sister that my sister is 72 or 73, and Roy really creeped my sister out. And he would send her letters, and she told me when I flew back there to see her one time, about 4 or 5 years ago, about Roy contacting her and telling her that when he got out of prison, he was going to come see her and blah, blah. And oh my God. Somehow he found out, he didn't know where her home address was, but he found out where her real estate office was because she sold real estate. And he sent these letters to her real estate office, and she was telling me about it, and she was really freaked out. And I said, don't answer him. Don't do anything. Just throw it in the trash. Have no contact with him at all. So she just knew about him from our mother. And so he did try to contact her when he was in prison. She was under the impression that he was getting out. I don't think he ever got paroled that I know of. No, wait, he might have gotten out once. I don't know. Somehow I think he got paroled many years ago, and then he committed that crime with that guy and went back to prison. So I don't know. He spent his whole life in prison,
Yeah. How did that affect your family?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't
Yeah,
talk
he did
about
get
him.
paroled a few times.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. We just didn't talk about him. You know what I mean? It was like the black sheep in the family nobody wants to talk about. My mother's brother, and Norma, was a child psychologist for the school district in Palos Verdes, California. And I'm sure he fed information to his sisters about Roy, so they probably already knew things about that. And then when Aunt Norma found out what her son did and all that stuff that went on, she killed herself.
Oh my God.
She couldn't handle it, like it was so sad. What her son did, I guess she just couldn't take it. It was awful.
What was she like?
She was the sweetest person you'd ever meet in your life. I tell you, she had a heart of gold. She really did. But I mean, I can imagine, I have 2 children, and I can imagine, how would you feel if your kid did that? Like, you would probably sit there and go, what in the hell did I ever do that made that child that way? I mean, it would be really confusing to somebody. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say it's a huge cross to bear.
Yeah.
I don't know the amount. I can see how parents would feel guilty that maybe something they did.
I believe Norma felt guilty, like maybe she didn't give him enough love. Absolutely right.
Well, that's tragic. But we've been talking to a DNA genetic genealogist lately, and she studies serial killer trees. And Roy has come up in a serial killer tree where his bloodline is related to multiple serial killers. And we're trying to put together patterns of some of these DNA trees to see if there's patterns of these killers. And maybe it is a genetic thing. Maybe your aunt didn't do anything wrong. Maybe it's just DNA, You
know what's funny now that you say that? When I think I saw him maybe a couple times after he got out of the Navy, before he did all that crap. He seemed a little slow to me. You know what I mean? He was probably a high functioning, mentally retarded. That's what I would say. High functioning.
Laura, what do you think?
I never saw any signs of that. No, I didn't get any of that.
I gotta back up for a second when you say that. So I did the genealogy on my mother's side, okay, which would be the people we're talking about right now. Did not look for serial killers when I did the genealogy. How does that, strangers have the same genealogy, or what are you actually saying?
What I'm saying is that she's been doing these serial killer genealogy trees going like this. They're from the same bloodline, the same like great grandparents.
Oh,
So
okay.
she was able to put all of this together in different trees. So
Okay.
I do know-
Generations back, you're saying?
yes.
Okay.
Like all the way back to the Mayflower.
Oh, wow. Okay. And he had the same.
He was connected to multiple. So what she's done is she's created these serial killer DNA trees where she's been able to link, I don't know, 50 serial killers to the same 4 families going back
the
to the
bloodline.
Mayflower.
The bloodline.
The bloodline.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I didn't even know you could do that. Wow.
and she did. It's crazy. So we did find out that Norris is on one of the trees. I just texted her now to find out which one because I don't know. I can't remember offhand. But we're thinking that there's a DNA that goes awry that's caused these silly serial killings. Because his mom, from what you're saying, seemed like a kind, loving mom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's tragic that she killed herself because of what he did. But it might have just been twisted DNA. I mean, Laura, what do you think?
Yeah, it's well, I think it's a multitude of things. It can be the DNA is just one factor, the genetic component mixed in with nurture and stuff. When I talked to Roy, he said like Norma was a sweet mother and he reports like a really good childhood. The only thing that he really reports that was from his childhood is the grandparents on his father's side. So on Glenn's side, that they would actually degrade Norma a lot. In front of Roy and Sharon.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And just
That's
call her
awful.
like derogatory things. Maybe it was from like the shotgun wedding, but they would call her a whore and stuff like that in front of Norris and Sharon.
Oh, you know what? I bet Glenn abused Norma and maybe Roy. And maybe Sharon, maybe all of them.
Well, at least maybe
Well, this
Roy
is a Glenn Senior, so it was Glenn's father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he probably resented marrying her because she was pregnant. So what does that make a person? Angry, all of the above.
Well, this wasn't Roy's father. This is the grandfather.
Right. The grandfather didn't like my aunt, but the grandfather was the father of Roy's father. It was Roy's father. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting confused. Okay. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's just a shame that my awesome aunt couldn't handle it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old
And
was
my
she
mom died later. My mom was the oldest, and her baby sister died before her, and it really affected my mom too.
When did your aunt commit suicide? How soon after she found out?
Oh my goodness. What year was that Roy got caught? What year was that? When he was
79.
79 or 80? I think it was around 84 then. 83, 84.
Wow, soon after.
Yeah.
Because wasn't the trial in 82 or 81?
81 was the trial. So
Yeah. She just let herself go,
Yeah. That's a hard thing for a parent to cope with.
Yeah. Hard for me to even look at.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like to have someone.
No one in my family, and I'm not even sure Sharon, his biological sister, could even watch that documentary. You know what I mean? Like, Sharon would go see him at the prison like once a month. I mean, he got moved to a lot of prisons, and he finally got transferred down near Sharon, near San Diego. I can't remember the name of it, the prison, so that she could come see him more. But she only went there like once a month or once every 2 months. But I would imagine it affected her too.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, that's your brother. I mean, you love him and you don't want to believe any of that stuff, It's
Right.
terrible. So many lives.
And Sharon was living next door to him in Redondo. in the duplex.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Sharon was living in the duplex right next door to him in Redondo when he was arrested.
Oh, really? He was
Yeah.
arrested in Redondo Beach.
Hmm.
Wow.
So if she was living next door to him, how long was she living next door to him?
He had gotten paroled from CMC, and he moved in with his mom in Carson. And then he moved into the duplex next to his sister in Redondo Beach. This was all in 79.
So he was living there while he was doing everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
That must have been hard for Sharon too, knowing that she was so close and he was coming and going, and now knowing what he was doing, that must have been hard for her.
Sharon was always really strong. You know what I mean? So I'm sure she dealt with it somehow.
Yeah.
And you think, Laura, that Sharon got all of his art?
I have no idea who he left
The
as
art was-
next of kin.
the
I
art
would
was
just
never
imagine
bro-
it would be Sharon.
Yeah, the art was never brought up, I guess.
Yeah.
But he was quite the artist.
Oh, I was going to ask, is your sister the one that he attacked at 16? There was a
Marty.
cousin that he attacked.
Marty, yeah.
Mhm.
She lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's why she's so afraid of him, I guess. I don't blame her. I knew he was weird when I was a child. But yeah, my sister, when he wrote her this letter and the letter went to her real estate office, it just totally freaked her out that he found her. And I go, well, how did he find out what real estate office she worked at? And she goes, I have no idea. But it's public record. You know, they'll put she was a top saleswoman. So I'm sure her name was somewhere with that realty company, and that's how he found it. But he didn't know the internet. There was friends in there that were helping him post his art on the internet. There were friends that showed him how to use the computer, all of that.
Yeah. So at 16, she was attacked by Norris?
Yeah. I forgot
What happened?
about that. I don't know. I was too young. I'm sure my mother didn't tell me anything.
This supposedly it was an attempted sexual assault on her, and Roy's father found out about it. Your father, I think, called him about it. Called Glenn about it.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Whose father? What?
There's a report that his cousin, there was an attempted sexual assault on his cousin, and Roy Norris's father was called about it by his uncle.
Oh,
That
was Uncle Robert, who was the psychologist.
It was his child?
Okay. Robert was a child psychologist. He's the one that reported it?
I don't know. There's just a report that there was an attempted sexual assault on a cousin.
That might have been Robert's daughter then, if it was the father that reported it. His daughter was
He didn't
Michelle
report it to
Dollarhide.
police. He didn't report it to police. He just called Norris's father, not police. Like it was just reported within the family. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Everybody was freaked out about him. I mean, he was just strange, you know? Well, Robert Dollarhide, who was the psychologist, had a daughter named Michelle Dollarhide. And she would have been about 16 at that time. She's younger than my sister. I bet that's who you're talking about rather than my sister. Or
So
he tried both of them. I don't
I
know.
was going to say, I'm sure he tried both of them.
Yeah, you and I think alike, right? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
I was so ashamed of him. I never told my friends. I never told my husband. I never told anybody that I had a relative like that. How does that make me sound, you know?
Well, you had a bad feeling. And like I said, I mean, there's a possibility that there's a DNA issue that goes way back. I just heard from the genealogist, and she just told me that the Norris name in the genealogy tree goes back to Gacy. He's related to John Wayne Gacy, David Carpenter,
Oh.
Ted Bundy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So
You
I
know
mean,
the guy Bittiger that got in trouble with him, I thought he looked like Manson, man. He looked
He
like
had that.
another Manson,
He did have those Manson eyes.
didn't
Yeah.
he? He had those Manson eyes. I went, oh
It
my
was like
God, that guy looks like Manson.
they used to call it Manson lamps,
Oh, yeah. Mm.
flashing the Manson lamps.
Oh, jeez. That is so interesting that your genealogy can show that stuff.
Yeah. She
That's
can
kind
explain.
of creepy. So I'm going to be proud and say it didn't come from my Aunt Norma. I would say it came from her.
It's the Norris family. It's not.
Yeah, it came from that side of the family. I guarantee it. Oh boy. Although my dad was a character, but yeah, not a serial killer.
So you were during that time, you were like in your early 20s when all that was happening, correct?
Skeptical about custom beauty? I get it. My feed is flooded with customize this, personalize that. Everybody's promising to fix my split ends, my dry skin, and my fine lines. And you know that all these products I buy, none of them have worked.
Lots of products she buys.
But now I'm so excited because I get to share this with you guys. We have partnered with pros, and when they say custom, they actually mean it. It's not a gimmick. Your formula does not exist without you.
And each and every bottle of Prosed custom hair and skincare is made to order, personalized with a unique blend of naturally powerful and proven effective ingredients to meet your needs.
They have this in-depth consultation that analyzes 80 factors for a complete view of you, your life, and your beauty goals.
Wow, that's a lot. And they get personal. Pros gets to the root of the problem. They cover everything from your diet, concerns, to exercise and stress to uncover what's impacting your hair and skin health.
I love the fact that they even asked me for my zip code to assess the hard water, because that's a terrible problem in my neighborhood. And how, oh my God,
Hard water.
right?
We have really bad hard water.
Really bad. So, and then they also tell you how this impacts my hair and my skin. And then they recommend an entire routine of truly personalized products that were not created until after I placed my order. So there's nothing pre-mixed, nothing off the shelf. And I know this from experience that their one-of-a-kind formulas equal 1 in a million results. Since I switched to Pros, my hair is shinier, stronger, fuller, and my skin is not dry. And I live in the desert. And everyone is noticing.
Yep, I noticed. You look fantastic. I can definitely see how Cindy's hair has grown so much since she has been using Pros. But don't just take our word for it. In a third-party, double-blind, dermatologist-supervised controlled clinical study, the gold standard in research studies, Pros proved personalized works better than off-the-shelf alternatives.
Try it for yourself and get the healthiest hair in 30 days or your money back. Pros is so confident that you'll love the results that they're offering our listeners an exclusive trial offer so you can see the difference custom care can make. You gotta try it.
50% off your first subscription order at pros.com/PITC.
That's pros.com/PITC for your free consultation and 50% off your one-of-a-kind formula. Pros.com/PITC.
And I was married living in Ojai, California.
Wow.
And then what was
Do you
that
remember
like?
it being on the news when it
That's
all
interesting.
happened?
Heck no.
No.
I don't think I watched the news much.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Did you
what
ever go to the
happened?
trial?
No, I did not, because I live in Boise, Idaho. I've been here for many,
Oh,
many years. I left
yeah.
California in 1980,
Oh, okay.
and I moved to
Right before
Yakima,
the trial.
Washington. And Mount St. Helens blew when I got to Yakima. And then I met a man in Yakima, Washington, who was from Boise, Idaho, and that's how I got here. So I've been in Idaho 39 years.
Yeah.
No, I would never go back for his trial.
Did your mom go?
Let's see. My mother moved here to be near me, but I don't remember what year she moved here. I don't think she went to the trial, or she would have told me. We were really close.
Mm.
She might have already been here in Idaho. I needed her to help me. I was getting a divorce and my daughter was very young, and she came here to help me because I was self-employed and I needed help taking care of my daughter. And so my mom left California, sold her property, and built a house here in Boise. I doubt if she went to the trial, but her and Roy wrote a lot of letters, but I don't know what happened to all the letters. I never read them. I heard they were very heart-wrenching, where he felt really bad about what he did.
Oh,
Does that surprise you, Laura?
Yeah, just because a lot of his artwork depicted, he drew skulls in the mountains. He drew Murder Mac the van and put like Murder Mac on it. His artwork was very dark, like almost jovial
Wow.
about the crimes. Yeah.
Oh.
Why do
The
you think he
art-
would?
The artwork
sorry.
he sent my mother wasn't like that. It was like
Right.
birds and
Yeah.
beautiful things, so there was another
Right.
side to him then, right?
Oh yeah. There usually is about two sides.
Wow.
That's what I
Like
was
a-
going to say, Laura. Like, why do you think he was sending his mom those kinds of letters?
Well, I mean,
My mom?
he's not going to send he's not going to send his aunt or his mother, a drawing of Murder Mac or skulls in the mountains.
Yeah, right.
All right.
No.
No.
No,
Freak him
that's
out,
not what I
wouldn't
mean.
it?
What I'm asking is it uncommon for them to like be able to flip back and forth like this, where he can write a letter pretending he's, feeling remorse and empathetic, and then on the other, side here, he's like, these are my trophies. I want to understand that dichotomy. Like, how is that split like that?
Yeah, like I'll see a lot of them do interviews and they're talking about, oh, I found God, artwork with the birds. And then the second I walk onto death row and get in a cage with them, suddenly that it's like you said, it's the coin, the other side of them just switches. And suddenly the darkness comes out, that serial killer is still there. And it's just the other facade has, went away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You're a brave young lady.
Thanks.
So I have to say this in front of your friends. Oh, I was interested in how you're related to Roy. You're his 10th cousin, which makes you and I related in some way. Does that make me a 10th cousin also?
I had forensic genealogists do all the family trees. They did all the victims, and Roy Norris and Lawrence Bittaker's, and they were trying to see if there was any cross relations, and they came back and said, Laura, you're 10th cousins with Roy Norris. They never gave me the tree though, so I don't know exactly where the 10th placement is, but they just 10th cousins with Roy Norris.
Well, we'll have you guys on Deadly Roots, and you guys can talk to Cindy, and she can show you the tree.
she can break it
And
down.
she can break it down for you, and she can show you how you're related and how Roy is related to these other serial killers.
I just want to say that if you're related to Roy, you're related to me.
Yeah, that's what I said to her. I was like, we might be related because I am, according to them, the 10th cousin of Norris.
Yeah, right. I did the genealogy on my mother's side, and this is really weird. My mother and my aunt and my uncle, nobody ever talked about it, but I found that my grandmother's mother was Black and was brought here. They all lived around Louisiana and Kentucky. The heritage is Louisiana, Kentucky. And apparently my great-grandmother married into the family. And I forget where he got her from, but she was Black. And I was shocked that the family never talked about having that her mother was Black. So my grandmother, Dollarhide, was mulatto.
It's interesting
But
what
back
you can
in
find
that
out.
time, though, things like that were secrets,
Yeah.
because slavery still existed, whether you want to believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It didn't go away.
No.
Well, I think the
It
DNA
probably
analysis.
still exists.
The DNA analysis was this 23andMe and all this stuff. It's really kind of bringing out a lot of interesting family histories. I think
Right.
we all, I think anybody who's done it is surprised if they start digging deep into their family history.
I found her
Yeah.
grave, and then I found a picture of her. So I have all that stuff. It's kind of interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did, of course, my father's side. I had a different father, and my father was a bigamist, but he never got caught. And I found out I had a cousin contact me a couple of years ago, kind of like you did, Laura, and told me that her father was my dad's son and that he was my brother. So my father was with so many women. He married women with money. And this sounds rude, but he screwed women from California all the way to Florida. Okay. And I had siblings all over the United States.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the Tinder swindler.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about, but my dad was a hoe. Yeah. I never did
Oh.
get to meet any of my siblings because I'm so young. Because they were all older than me, but I was the only one my dad paid attention to. And I don't know why. Maybe he really loved my mother after all. He didn't have any money.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, so you did watch the Toolbox Killer. Was there anybody else in the family who did watch it?
No, I didn't tell anybody. No, it was just years in my conversations. My sister wouldn't watch it. It would freak her out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Sharon, I don't talk to Sharon.
Mhm.
You know, did you tell Sharon that you did it?
Yeah, we actually tried to get Sharon on it. She
Oh,
almost signed on, yeah.
she almost what?
She almost signed on for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, she would be a good one to talk to if you could get her to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine she watched it then. If you told her about it, she probably did.
Yeah.
And it was probably heart-wrenching to her, you know?
Oh, I
I'm
I
sure it
can't
was.
imagine. Yeah.
She was really close to her mother when her mother died. I'm sure it devastated her, you know? She had to clean her mom's house out, and her mom was a hoarder. I guess it was a real mess, is what my mom said.
How was it for you? How was it for you when you watched it?
Horrific. It's the only word I can use.
Yeah.
I don't understand because I'm not educated like you folks to the extent of I'm spiritual, you know, and I don't understand how a person can kill another person. How can they do that and not have any remorse for it? I don't get it.
Well,
I just don't understand how you can kill somebody so easily. I mean, if you're in Vietnam or you're in a war, okay, you don't have a choice, but that's really sicko to kill people like that. That's really sicko.
well, they enjoyed it too. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's just disgusting to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's disgusting. We agree with you.
Mhm.
Thank you. When I saw it, I went,
It's horrific. I mean, it's really horrific. All of it is horrible. I think it's very interesting that as such a young child, you were able to pick up those vibes.
I still have those. I don't want to sound crazy, but I have good instincts. We'll put it that way. I'm not a medium or anything, but I know things
You're
before they
intuitive.
happen. I see things before they happen.
Yeah.
Something I've had since I was really young.
Which is why it's so
Did you
important to cultivate that. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, it is. Oh, I was gonna say, did you ever tell your sister, or did your sister get that same vibe from him, like when you guys were children?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Marty and I were close because she raised me. She lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and she's 73 now. But yeah, Marty and I knew something wasn't right in that guy's head.
Yeah.
You know, my mother didn't see it. His mother didn't see it. His sister didn't see it. Because, you know, we don't want to believe those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to believe those things. But yeah, I give you credit for what you do. I respect you and all of that. You're a very brave woman. I don't even know how you can talk to crazy people like that. I was a caregiver. I took care of sick people my whole life. And I just, you know, don't know how you could do it. Just like people can't take care of sick people. You know, people say, how could you take care of sick people? You know?
Well, they're innocent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Laura's dealing with very, very guilty, dark people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura, girl. How do you release yourself?
You know, I try to.
Koozies,
Yeah. Spas.
the
Retreat.
beach.
Exactly.
You need to come to Idaho and see me, girl.
I will.
I'm the last of the family.
I know. Well,
I'm
we
the
might
last
be
of
related.
the three. I know. Wouldn't that be cool? I will never go to any weirdo's house with you, though. So that's all your deal. Now, if you're sick, I'll take care of you. But yeah, I don't do well with weirdos.
So I just have one question. Like, when I know you were young, you know, in your 20s and stuff like that, and and you weren't living in the area anymore, but how did your family handle the spread of all this horrible information?
You
And did
know,
they just-
my mother, her name was Mecca McNamara, and she was the one that had the most sympathy for him, and he played into my mother's heart. You know what I mean? He knew how to manipulate people. Am I wrong or right, girl? I'm right.
Very
I know.
true. Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
He knew how to manipulate. I know his type. And my mother fell for it, man. And she sent him money and shit. And I'm like, don't be sending him any money. You know, da, 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 da. Well, he doesn't have anybody else. Norma's dead, blah, blah, blah. You know, he was playing my mother for a long time
Mm.
because she had a big heart and she felt sorry for him.
Mhm.
And
What was
he told her that he studied law in prison and he was a lawyer now and he was helping everybody in the prison with their legal troubles and all this bullshit. And she fell for it.
Mhm. That's something very typical they do.
Yeah, right. I'm sure.
They all become lawyers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Oh, my God. I told my mother, Mom, he hasn't changed. A leopard doesn't change their spots, Mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a pretty smooth talker, I guess.
In letters, he was. I mean, it's easier to write things in letters than it is to speak. She never spoke to him over the phone, but there was millions of letters that they
Wow.
wrote each other. You know, you can be one thing on paper and one thing in person, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know people pretty good. I have pretty good instincts. And I'm so glad my instincts were right when I was a kid. When I found out about him, though, getting back to that, look at me, I'm a jabbermouth. When my mother told me, I think my mouth fell open and I went, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm sure those were my exact words. And I told my mom, I told you there was something weird about him when I was a kid. Yeah, you said that. I should have listened to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a
It's
shame.
hard to compartmentalize that, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. But
It
you know
is.
what? I'm happy that he stayed in prison for all his life and he wasn't able to hurt anybody again. And I did get that Bittiger died in prison too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did California not have the death sentence or were they on death row?
They were on death
Well,
row.
No, well, Bittaker got the death sentence, but because Roy turned state witness, he escaped the death penalty.
Roy escaped it?
Yeah.
What happened to Bittiger?
He ended up on death row.
But he never got put down?
No, California's all over the place with the death penalty.
Did you see the one here in Idaho where the Idaho prison had a guy on death row and he was supposed to be, what do you call it?
Executed.
Mhm.
And they gave him the wrong drug or they didn't have the right drug or
Yeah.
something. Do you
horrible.
remember that? Hearing
Yeah.
about that where you guys are?
Yeah. It's happened a
So
couple
that-
times to a couple people.
Yeah.
So in Idaho, this sucker's still sitting on death row because they couldn't kill his ass. And he said on the news that he felt lucky. I'm like, oh, My God. And so now they're not even going to try to kill him again. They gave up. They're going to let that sucker sit on death row till he croaks.
That's pretty much what they're doing in California.
Oh my God. Who
Mhm.
actually has the death sentence and does it? Arizona?
Yeah, it's quite a few states still. Texas, Arizona, Ohio, I think
Florida.
Louisiana, Florida.
No.
Mhm.
Well,
But it's a double-edged sword, the death penalty, because you don't the way the justice system. A lot of times, there's wrongful convictions, and you don't want the wrong person getting executed. So I can
Right.
understand why, but at the same point, there's going to be you got to do something. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think about the taxpayer dollars to keep them alive for all those years.
25 grand a year. 25 grand a year costs.
Shit.
Wow.
Is that what it
Actually,
is?
probably more than
Serious?
that now.
I thought it was more than that. Food,
It's not-
housing, visits to the doctor. Oh, it's so crazy, isn't it? I always said we need to put them all on an island together somewhere.
Well, they did that way back when. It's called Australia.
I was just gonna say it's Australia.
Okay. I'll have to
Yeah.
check that out.
That's what the British government did.
Yeah.
Is that a true story?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
They put them all on an island. It was Australia. Hmm.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That's crazy. So, Laura, where do you live?
I'm in New England right now, Massachusetts.
That's where my family's from.
Really?
Yeah, my father died, but anyways, my father died and I went to bury him in Nantucket
Oh wow.
in the family plot. So my family on my father's side, they all came from Connecticut. And I
Oh wow.
met my relatives that I'd never met. My dad was Irish and he wanted an Irish wake when he died. And so we put on an Irish wake. Do you guys know what those are?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So, and he wanted a Irish priest, and so I got him a priest from Dublin, and he was so Irish, I couldn't even understand what the hell he was saying. I have no idea what he said, but it was fun. We partied like crazy, and they made all this Irish food and talked about my dumb old dad and how I had sisters and brothers everywhere. Have you ever met your brother in Texas? I'm like, no, but I know I have one there. You know, oh man. My dad never divorced any of the women. On my wedding day in Ojai, California, one of his wives hired a private eye and they had the nerve to come to my damn wedding
Wow.
to
Wow.
ask me where my father was.
Well,
Because
five wives.
he stole their money when he left
Oh
them.
gosh.
There you go.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Laura, did you have any other questions?
Trying to think. Do you guys have any more about Roy Norris? I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
No, I think she's told us. I mean, everything
Yeah.
that we,
Yeah.
the
Well,
experiences.
I hope I could help you in some way. I didn't know him as well as his sister, of course,
Yeah.
but I stayed clear of that dude. Let me
You
tell
knew him
you.
well enough to stay clear of him.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank God I did. What if he did something to me?
Yeah.
I never would have had my children or be alive today, right?
Exactly.
Well, he went after younger girls, so you're very
I know
lucky.
he did, and I was the baby in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Wow.
thing. I'm glad I had good instincts.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh
All right,
my
well,
God.
Danelle,
Anyway, so yeah, you did a great job, Laura. I watched it, but it was just disgusting to me and horrific. And I am
Yeah.
so glad that I never told anybody that I had a relative like that. It was very much a secret. So when you
Yeah.
contacted me, I went, "Oh my God, who is this person?"
Did you ever tell your daughter?
My children know. I tell
they
my
do?
children everything. My
Yeah.
daughter is 35 and my son is 40. And they live here in Boise along with their mommy, and we're very close. We tell each other everything, you know?
What was their
Yeah.
reaction when you told them?
My daughter, holy hell, Mom. And then when she found out about my father, she's like, he was a sperm donor, Mom. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I had met some of my siblings, but they all passed on.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Danelle, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been so great to meet you.
It was
Yes.
wonderful talking to you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
You're
Of
welcome.
course. Thank you for coming on and giving us a
Yeah.
little background of your family and Norris.
Yeah,
Thank you.
maybe I'll talk to you guys again sometime, okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You take care.
Okay.
Take care, Danelle. Please visit our website where you can subscribe to the podcast, find show notes, and check out extra content from all of our podcasts. All rights reserved. This has been a production of 722 Media Content.